What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We are the Agents of Helm, and we are back to give you your weekly update as to everything that's going on in news and media and entertainment. This is our Monday show. So before we get started, I just want to introduce Joe,
Hello, everybody.
and once again, we have Johanna,
Hey.
and we are missing one of our members. He is out of commission today. That will be Lorenzo. So I will be filling in for him doing the box office stuff, and then we'll jump into a couple of shows. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet for you guys this week before we jump into our podcast later on this week. So without further ado, we're gonna start with number 10 in the box office release for the weekend of July 4th through 6th. Hope everybody had a good 4th of July weekend. Number 10 came in at Edge of Tomorrow, which is the Tom Cruise movie, which has done pretty well. It's cleared $90 million total gross, which it's not well in terms of its budget, but it's Tom Cruise. It made $3.6 million this weekend. Number 2 came in at it's Think Like a Man Part 2. I mean number 9. Think Like a Man Part 2 came in at number 9, made just under $5 million. Jersey Boys at number 8. Maleficent at number 7. And a new entry for the weekend, Earth to Echo, came in at number 6. How to Train Your Dragon Part 2 came in at number 5. At number 4, we have Deliver Us from Evil, the new horror flick. I guess I don't know too much about this film, but I know it cleared
It's
9.7 million in the. It's the Eric Bana movie. Okay. Yeah, I've seen some clips about it, but I don't know much. Does anybody have any clues about what it's about?
I mean, it's based on a true story. I mean, how do you guys not know this?
I think it's
I know
about.
that there were exorcisms and stuff before, and he goes undercover and he finds the stuff out, and then I don't know. I guess he goes crazy. I don't know. That's what it looks like in the trailer. I have no idea.
I think the cop was from the Bronx that the
Yeah.
movie is based off of. But that's about all I know. I know that it looked interesting.
Okay. It seems like all of these things are based on true stories. They're based on some kind
Yeah.
of.
But hold on.
Yeah.
Can I do my quotes? True stories. True stories. Yes.
loosely based on.
Loosely
It
based.
feels like all these. Feels like all these movies are now. Remember that? What was that show that used to come on? It was like a weekly show where they talked about stuff that true stories of things that are going on. Like, was it Unsolved Mysteries?
Yeah, well, they had Unsolved Mysteries. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what,
Yeah, it was that. It was that one guy that would tell stories about what was like just weird stories about stuff that's going on and
Yeah.
things that are unsolved and stuff.
Yeah, but that was like people getting kidnapped and killed and stuff. I mean, like real FBI cases and things like that. It's
Also,
kind of like FBI's Most Wanted, but it was for NBC Unsolved Mysteries. But
Oh.
it was like along those lines.
also mysterious lights in the sky and probes.
Yeah.
They talked about all of that stuff. Yeah, it was
Mhm.
like I remember that the intro music. I
Do
remember
do
that.
do do do.
Yeah.
Scary.
I love that intro music. It was it was very, very ominous. But without further ado, we have 22 Jump Street coming in at number 3. That movie has done well over $100 million grossed, more than its budget. It's at total gross is at 159 and its budget was 50. So we can see why they keep making these movies, and we can definitely see why there will be a 23 Jump Street in the very near future. At number 2, we have Tammy, another new entry into the weekend. That's starring Melissa McCarthy from Mike and Molly, and from a slew of other movies where she plays a very similar character to the one that she seems to play
Bridesmaids.
in Tammy. So it seems she has her shtick going right now. And so definitely,
Yeah.
And this is funny because this weekend gross was 21. The weekend gross was 21. Its total gross has been 33. Its budget was 20 million. So she's obviously a box office Cinderella and people love to go see her because clearly, I didn't think anything of this movie in terms of when I saw the trailers, but people obviously there's a lot of other people that wanted to go see it. So,
And
and last but not least, we have number one, Transformers: Age of Extinction. Oh, what's up, Johanna?
oh no, I was just gonna say that my mission in life is to get people to
Johanna, you had
not see
something?
Tammy.
Okay.
That my mission in life is to
Okay.
get
Well,
people.
yeah, we're gonna come to you for your review because I know we're gonna come to you for your review very shortly. I know I know you've seen it, and I know you have a few things to say about it. So,
Okay.
but yeah. So last but not least, we have Transformers: Age of Extinction. It got another week at number one. Total gross at 175 million. It made just under 40 million this weekend. So it's nearing its budget of 210 million only 2 weeks in. So without further ado, we will go into our first review. So Joe, you went and saw Earth to Echo, which was the number 6 movie on our top 10 list. What were your thoughts? What were you think? What are you feeling about this movie?
Well, clearly, based on the numbers that you mentioned, this was not what you call a record-setting July 4th weekend. Right? I mean, Transformers finished at number one again. Was that 2 weeks in a row now for Transformers?
Mm-hmm.
And it beat out what was new this week? It was Earth to Echo and Tammy.
And
So,
Evil.
huh?
And Deliver Us from Evil.
Oh yeah, forget about Deliver Us from Evil. So the two heavy hitters were supposed to be Tammy and Earth to Echo, and they, from what I could tell, from what you mentioned, the numbers are very underwhelming. So
Yeah.
what did you say Earth to Echo made this week?
Earth to Echo pulled in 8 million, just over 8 million gross over the weekend. But interestingly enough,
Wow,
it's
8
already
million.
made, interestingly enough, over the first weekend, it's already made its budget. Its total gross was 13.5 so far in the 1 week, and its budget was only 13 million to make. So it's actually already made its budget just in that 1 weekend. Which
Yeah,
is
I'm gonna tell you why, because it seems like they shot this movie. Well, it was supposed to give you that feel of being shot with a video camera.
mm,
So one of the characters, one of the main characters, there are three main characters. There's Alex, Tuck, and Munch, and they're three childhood friends who find out that they all have to move out of their homes because they're going to put a new highway in that area of, I believe it was Nevada, in that area of Nevada. So everyone has to get up and move out of their homes. Um, and so they decide to go, before they leave their last Friday together, they're going to go on their one last adventure, which leads to obviously finding the alien. So I don't want to, I'm trying not to spoil it too much. There are reasons why they decide to go on this mission. It's kind of like, I'd say, like Malik, I know was telling you this earlier. I believe Johanna as well, and the audience out there. If you've seen E.T. and you've seen the Goonies, you've essentially seen Earth to Echo, because it tries to take the elements from the two movies and like kind of mash them together. Where in ET you obviously have an extraterrestrial who comes to Earth, and he befriends a family who protects him, and kids who try to keep him safe and keep him out of the hands of I forgot Peter Coyote's name in the movie, but in ET. But Peter Coyote is the scientist who's trying to get a hold of ET, and probably wants to do experiments on him. In the Goonies, you have a group of kids who are being forced out of their homes because they're going to put a new development there, and the kids decide they want to go on a treasure hunt in order to try to save the town, right? So in Earth to Echo, it takes those two things. So in Earth to Echo, like I said, their town is going to be turned into a highway, supposedly turned into a highway. Um, the truth is that the government has found an unidentified flying object, or an identified object, because it's not flying, it's actually buried underground, and they want to be able to get everyone out of there so they can search for what is this spaceship. Um, so the kids, they notice that all their phones are acting crazy. It's craziness with the phones and stuff, and they decipher. Now these kids are like in middle school, junior high school, and they decipher that the images that they're seeing on their phones is a map. Now, don't ask me how they figured this out, but they figured it out. So here again, another Goonies reference. They get a map, and then they follow the map that eventually leads them to the alien, which is named Echo. And then Echo takes them on an adventure to look for parts for his spaceship. So the construction crew that is supposed the construction crew that's supposed to be tearing down these homes, they're really not a construction crew. They are scientists and they're trying to find the alien as well. So they obviously they figure out at some point that the kids have the alien, and then they start chasing them down, a la ET, where they find out the kids have an alien. They start chasing them down. So there's a ton of similarities. All in all, this movie doesn't come close to either one, either E.T. or The Goonies, two movies that I love very much and hold in high esteem. Earth to Echo doesn't come anywhere close, although trying to take some of the aspects of both films, it doesn't even come, it can't touch it with a 10-foot pole, either one of those. So I would say if you've seen E.T. and you've seen Goonies, save your money and wait for Earth to Echo to come out on Blu-ray, DVD, or HBO or Netflix or something like that. So that's what I think. Save your money if you can. And it seems like America did, since they only made 8 million this weekend. So
So I have a quick question in
that.
regards to this.
Sure.
In regards to this for you, Joe. So one thing, like you said, you connected to the Goonies and you connected to E.T. So to me, the two things that are so important and so great about those two movies that you mentioned are the kids. The kids are
Right.
what really drives both movies, like the relationship between the kids and the characters, but also like there's some comedy. Of course, the kids in Goonies are funny. The interaction between the kids and ET in the movie in ET are great. So, um, are there any standout
Not really. It was
acting performances by any of the kids? Anything?
I thought the kids were good, but
Okay.
there was no. It was a little too serious. It wasn't. There were some light moments in the movie, where the kids make fun of each other and things like that. There's only three of them. Where in E.T. and Goonies, there's like always a whole group of kids.
Right.
Here, there's only three of them. And also, there's a big brother for one of the kids, and a la Goonies, where they take his bike or whatever. I mean, they flatten his bike, and instead now it's the older brother's car. So I mean, it's the same thing, except these kids aren't.
Joe, you're breaking up a little bit. Can't really hear you too well.
Yeah.
Um, so I actually do have until we can get Joe back in to finish his review. I have a quick rant about this movie. Just just
Uh,
oh, Joe, you're there?
I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. You can finish your statement.
How much did you hear?
We got cut off right around when you were talking about. Well, it started to go fade in and out right when you were talking about the kids' interaction with one another and the um,
Yeah, okay. So the kids' interaction with one another wasn't as good as it was in Goonies. I
yep.
didn't, I didn't feel the sense of adventure as I did with Goonies or E.T. It was a little too serious, and these kids rode everywhere on bike, and it just seemed like impossible. The mileage they covered in one evening on their bikes. Uh, it was a little unbelievable. Again, it's a movie about aliens, so I mean, you want to talk about bike rides, but it just seemed like a lot to cover. That's why they end up taking the car. But anyway, again, if you've seen E.T. and Goonies, save your money and wait for Earth to Echo to come out on Blu-ray DVD.
Yeah. So one of the problems I have, and this is a quick, very very quick, short rant, but one of the problems that I have with movies like this is, just recently I started seeing tweets and stuff on Google Plus and stuff all over the web about thank you for making Earth to Echo the number one family movie in America. And See, that statement is kind of ominous in the fact that did any other family movies come out in America this weekend? So
I mean, I don't
is
understand. I
Deliver
mean,
Us from
how to
Evil a
train
family movie?
How to Train Your Dragon is a
How
family
do
movie,
yeah, but
and
that's
that
been out
seemed
for like a
like that
month and a
would be
half.
number
Okay,
one.
yeah, How to Train Your Dragon's been out, but that's what I'm saying. How to Train Your Dragon 2 has been out for like a month and a half. Okay, this week we had Deliver Us from Evil and we had Tammy. Okay, neither one of which would be considered family movies. Okay, so this being the number one family movie in America, that's like that's like the USA soccer team saying, "Hey, thanks for us making us the number one USA soccer team in America." Like seriously,
Exactly.
you know, it's the only one. It was the only one. Look, I have a 6-year-old kid. I had to take them to see a movie. This was the only one I could take them to see because the other two movies that came out were clearly not for them. So, being the number one family movie in America, you don't really want to trumpet that all over the world. How about being the number one movie? How about you try to aim a little higher? As bad as Transformers was, the damn thing was the number one movie in the world. When you can say number one of anything in the world, I don't even care if you're the number one, hooker in the world. If you're the number one hooker in the world, be proud of that, okay? But they're a horrible movie, and they're proud of being the worst possible movie that's number one in the world. Don't be proud of being the number one family movie in America when you're the only family movie that came out in America. It was kind of default. You made $8 million. Get off your soapbox and go make another movie. And please don't make a part two. Please, I'm really happy. I'd be really happy if you decided not to do that.
Yeah, I don't think they will, and I actually probably think Super 8 was probably better
Oh,
than this. I don't know if you guys saw Super 8.
I love Super 8.
no.
I love Super 8. I think Super
Yeah,
8.
Super 8. Super 8 is another one. It's very similar to the Goonies. It's a group of kids who get brought into this, go on this adventure together. I mean, it's along the same lines, but Super 8 was better.
And it really bothers me because I was hoping for good things for this movie. I was actually interested in it and excited about it when I first
Yeah,
saw the trailer.
it's not horrible, but if you've seen the other two movies, you don't need to bother seeing this one.
And I mean, in terms of, this number one family movie in America, I mean, 4th of July weekend was a big family movie weekend, but they were still number 6. How
It's,
do you train your dragon still whip their butt, right?
it's
Breaking news.
been over 4
Deliver Us from
weeks. Yeah,
Evil
right.
was the number one horror movie in the U.S. this weekend.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks for that niche audience. Thank you. Well, on to another niche performance. We have Johanna, who took some time out to go see the movie Tammy in theaters, which you clearly weren't the only person because this was the number two movie in the country this weekend. So, what were your takes from Tammy? What did you think about it?
So, I think the fact that this movie was number 2 shows the dire situation in which the summer season is in, the summer movie season. um, oh gosh, where do I begin with this film? I'll start first with the fact that it's not funny. It's just really not, in terms of the actual humor, it's just not funny. Within about 5 minutes of the movie, Tammy, who's a sort of blousy loser, kind of actually reminded me of, you guys have seen Monster, right?
Monster
Yes,
with
Charlize
Charlize
Theron.
Theron.
yeah. Actually, no, I've never seen it.
Is it
So
Theron or Theron? I don't know how.
Theron, I think. I'm not
It
sure.
doesn't matter.
Okay,
um,
I'll ask her when I meet her.
the the character reminded me of Eileen Wuornos in Monster, except not a serial killer, like kind of like the no makeup kind of look, but still kind of like blousy with the hair that's like all over the damn place. And she like plays this loser who's like, she's an idiot, but she's like a real idiot. Like she doesn't know who Neil Armstrong is. Like just no one is that stupid. And as the movie goes on, she's less stupid, and you're kind of like, well, how did you become less stupid unless you had an IQ implant put in your brain somehow? So at the beginning of the film, she loses her job, and she kind of like just starts putting her hair on hamburger buns and spitting on all the food. It's a fast food joint, and I'm kind of chuckling, and I turn around, and my husband is not laughing, and he's like, "Can we leave now? This isn't funny." And I'm like, let's just give this a chance. But it really wasn't funny. I would have to say that Susan Sarandon had more comedic timing in this film than Melissa McCarthy. And I mean, I think a lot of people went in, like, it's number two, went in thinking Bridesmaids and Mike and Molly, and she's really funny. And it just really, it wasn't funny. It didn't make any sense. And then there were some things that were just like, I think this movie having been written by a fat comedian, I was kind of expecting a little more in terms of being more progressive about showing fat people on screen, because usually they're just it's kind of like Shallow Hal or, that kind of comedy. And in the beginning, it was actually really, really good. Like, most of the physical comedy was just based on her kind of being rubber-faced and, ungainly as opposed to, being fat.
Hmm.
And so that was good, and she does have like a love interest as well, and the weight never comes up, and he's a thin, good-looking man, and I mean, I think Melissa McCarthy's a good-looking woman as well. In the movie, she's made to look very ugly. Um, but then it kind of like just kind of goes downhill. Like, she goes to prison towards the end, and when she comes out, people are like, "You look so skinny," and it's it's like, it's not like funny like it would be in Orange is the New Black, where like if Piper was told she was skinny, it'd be like, oh, okay, this is a joke. It was more like, no, seriously, like, you went to prison and you lost weight and you look great. It's like kind of weird. Um, and the one kiss she gets with the love interest is like at a wide angle in front of Niagara Falls, so you can't even see them kiss. And I'm like, come on, like it's one thing. I guess, like I said, like I was expecting more, and it's kind of like, if you feel uncomfortable filming these scenes, then why are they in your movie?
Right.
Um, and then at the end, she is in a hot tub wearing a wetsuit, and there's another woman who is large but not as large as her wearing a wetsuit, and it's kind of like, okay, dude, like, seriously, like, again, it's one of those scenes where you're like, if you don't feel comfortable showing the bingo wings and the thunder thighs and all of that stuff, don't film a hot tub scene. It's just as simple as that. Instead, you're using it kind of as a joke. Kathy Bates was in it. I mean, I feel like Kathy Bates is awesome no matter what she does, because I don't know if you guys watch The Office, but
Oh,
she
she was
had
great in The Office.
like a 5
Yeah.
episode stint, right? And
Yeah.
she
Yeah, I
was
think a little more than that.
it was more than 5?
I think yeah, she was on there on and off.
She there was a stint where she was there for like a good 3 or 4 straight episodes, and then she kind of appeared in certain episodes here and there afterwards. But that stint when the cast goes to Florida, I think it was for
Oh
the
yeah,
for the outing, that was great. Yeah,
the dogs.
yes.
So, I mean, I think that, her name also carries a lot of cachet in terms of how funny she is. Sandra Oh makes a surprise appearance. There's, they play, Kathy Bates and Sandra Oh play lesbians. And there's this really weird barbecue scene. And basically, this movie is a hot mess. I don't see why anyone would want to see it. I mean, beyond the stuff I've kind of talked about, like in terms of size positivity, it's just a bad movie. It's not funny at all. Um, and it was really disappointing to me. And I don't think anyone should watch this film.
So out of as Lorenzo would say, out of how many agents would you give it? Out of 4 agents, how many would you give this?
I would give it 0,
Zero.
because yeah, I don't think anyone should watch it. I feel like Lorenzo wouldn't like it. I feel like you guys wouldn't like it. And then I didn't like it. Like, it's hard to explain. It's like Bridesmaids. Like, when you go to a Melissa McCarthy or a movie, kind of like Kristen Wiig movie, you're kind of expecting to laugh at every minute, like just bust out laughing. And this wasn't it. So,
Yeah, I feel like for me with Melissa McCarthy, she built up a lot of credit for me with Mike and Molly and
yeah.
with Bridesmaids, and she has since started to chip away at that credit with movies like Identity Thief. I know a lot of people that did like The Heat. I was not one of them.
Mhm.
Um, and now this. I mean, I had no interest in actually seeing this. It's definitely something that I would watch, on a lazy Saturday afternoon on cable or something like that. I would not try to. I wouldn't go out of my way to look at it. Um, and she yeah, like I said, she's starting to kind of lose that appeal. And I think a part of it was, I mean, the part of the bridesmaids part of it was just her confidence, like the
Yeah.
confidence of the character. Is like, you know, you could tell her that she was fat, and it didn't even matter to her. Like
Yeah.
that was not important to her. What was important to her was she was the baddest woman in the planet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
That was
that's,
it.
you know what? That's,
Mike and
yeah.
Molly. Yeah.
I was just gonna say that that's.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I didn't realize it until right now, but that's the reason why this movie falls flat, because that character has absolutely no confidence in herself. There are a couple of moments where she seems like it, but it's kind of like very self-conscious. So I think
Okay.
that's it. You're expecting kind of this confident character from Bridesmaids, and that's not what you get in this film.
Okay, and so that kind of leads me down the path of Identity Thief, which was a very similar film in the sense that she was supposed to be this badass identity thief, and when you really break down the character, as you go further and further into the film, you realize that she's this really really self-conscious person, and she's really a good person. She's really quote unquote a good person who's just like lost her way, and you're, I guess, made to feel sorry for the character throughout the movie, when it's supposed to be a comedy, and it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
you feel bad for the guy and you laugh at the woman, and at some point in time you stop laughing at anything and you just start watching this film, and they're trying to make you appreciate the relationship between these two characters, when in actuality it's probably not what I came for. I came to laugh, I came to enjoy myself, I came to have fun at the movies, and I'm not. And it sounds like Tammy is a very similar situation.
That's exactly it. There's one part, like there's all this stuff about finding yourself and blah blah blah. And there's one scene actually where Susan Sarandon she calls her a fat loser, and
Hmm.
it like destroys her for like 10 minutes in the film, and you're kind of like, well, this is a downer, and this is not really what I came here for.
Yep.
And it's, yeah, apparently Melissa McCarthy and her husband wrote the entire script on a napkin. I'm not even fucking with you. Like they wrote it on a pair of napkins or something, and I think it shows in the film.
Yeah, well, he directed it also, her husband.
And he's in the movie too. He plays like this. He plays her boss at the beginning of the film.
Right. So they both wrote it. He directed it. They kept it all in the family. It
Yes.
seems.
Oh, they're gonna make all the proceeds, so I guess then, and from the looks of things, if it does another 15 million in the box office, you probably look for a Tammy 2 at some point in time.
Oh.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just, it appears that movies like this tend to, I mean, it's already made over its budget in one weekend. If it does another 15, it's going to be somewhere around $50 million gross for a $20
Wow.
million budget. And that's well over double your money. So, the whole honesty about, I mean, maybe there's no real need to, but Hollywood, they find reasons
Yeah.
to put out crap all the time, and so they may very well figure out a reason to put that one together.
So you guys, is there anything good coming out for the rest of the summer
Oh,
that'll
yeah.
boost me from my
Yeah,
depression?
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is coming out this Friday.
Yes. Oh,
And the Gabriel Iglesias movie comes out, whatever the Fluffy concert is. I don't know which one that.
fluffy.
I believe that comes out this Friday as well.
Oh,
So those are two things to look
Yeah, so
forward to.
so we got a couple things. I mean, we also have, of course, my movie Guardians of the Galaxy coming out in
yeah.
August. I am also interested, even though to me, the new Purge movie, the first Purge movie, seemed like it started out really well,
Hmm.
kind of fell off towards the middle of the movie, and never reached the same potential that it had in the first half an hour, 45 minutes of the film. Um, but I'm looking forward to this one as they take a step out into the actual world, into the streets, and to find out what's going on in these streets for in different situations, not just following this one family in one situation in the Purge. If you guys haven't seen the first one, it was starring Ethan Hawke, and who was the mother?
Oh.
Joe, do you remember who the mother was?
I can't remember. I mean, I saw it.
I
Um,
think it was. I think, as a matter of fact, yes, it was. It was the queen from Game of Thrones.
Oh, Lena Headey.
Yes, Lena Headey. Yes, yeah, she was the wife, and
yep.
Hmm.
it was all about. I mean, have you seen it, Johanna?
No, I know that it's basically it's about there's this night where like everyone has to stay inside because like all the laws are suspended.
Yeah, all crime is legal for one night. So basically, no one commits any crimes throughout the course of the year because they wait for this purge, and the purge is a 12-hour window starting at 7 p.m. or
Mhm.
8 p.m. something like that, till 8 a.m., where all crime is legal, including and leading up to murder. So
Okay.
everyone can pretty much do whatever they want. So people stay inside, close their
Mhm.
doors, and they don't do anything. Which I find interesting that there's not a lot of like they report a lot of murders that happen like in the street, but they don't report a
Mhm.
lot of murders of like husbands killing wives and wives killing husbands at home during the
Mhm.
purge. It doesn't that's the one thing that I was like it would seem really crazy. Like it would seem like there would be a crap load of especially like insurance murders like
Oh yeah.
insurance murders they happen on a regular basis now. So the fact that they not happening in the purge where you just got wives just waiting for that opportunity and having like War of the Roses in their house on a regular
Mhm.
basis. I think that there's definitely a place for that in this purge world. But that comes out in the 18th, so that's not this weekend, but the following
Okay.
weekend, and we have a couple more things coming out. So we'll see. But I hope that all of us get a chance to see Planet of the Apes, and we can have a quick
Yes.
discussion about it next in our next week's podcast. So we'll tell Lorenzo
Yeah,
what
I
to do on
definitely
that.
see it. I'll definitely see it this weekend. Um, I like the first one, so I'm hoping this one's as good or better.
I hear that it's the best movie of the summer. That's
Well,
what
it's gonna have
Wow.
definitely gonna be more action packed than the first one because the first one really didn't have that much action until the end.
yeah.
I wasn't a fan of the first one, but
No,
no, but the trailer for this one really caught my attention, so
Now,
I'm pretty excited.
what turned you off about the first one? If you don't mind me asking.
You know, I watched it so long ago that I don't even remember. I
Okay.
think it might have just been Mark Wahlberg. And
James Franco.
yeah, I'm like a,
No,
I'm,
no, no. Okay, now if it was Mark Wahlberg, you're talking about Planet of the Apes from like almost 10 years ago.
wait, is there another one?
This is the sequel to Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which
Which,
was a movie that came out in 2012, starring James Franco. John Voight was in it as
Huh.
well, and Andy Serkis playing the role of the ape, the chimpanzee
Yes.
Caesar.
yeah,
Um, and so yeah, if you don't get it, if you plan on watching this one, I would suggest you would go back and watch that because it's
Oh,
clearly
really?
it's a sequel to that. So
Oh.
yeah, so and that's I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed the first one. Um, if you can get a chance to see that first before you go see this movie, because there's obviously going to be things that tie into, especially, and I think that the from the trailer of the second film, it looks as though like they do a time jump from the end of the
Hmm.
first movie. They do a time jump to the beginning of the second movie to get
Okay.
us to a point where um, we're almost at the planet of the we're almost at the planet of the apes.
uh,
Oh.
they,
Yeah,
it, it seemed like they did a time jump so they can get rid of the old cast because I don't think anybody is returning from the old cast. James Franco's out, Frida Pinto's out. They've been replaced with oh my God, what's that girl's name? I have to look it up. She was in Mission Impossible 3. She had her own TV show for a while.
oh, you're talking about Kerry Russell?
Yes, Kerry Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah, they replaced her. They put her in the movie now. They took out Frida Pinto. They took out
That's a shame.
James Franco and put in what's the Jason Clarke and Gary Oldman.
Yep.
So yeah, the whole other cast has been replaced.
Wow. Well, I'll definitely watch the first one because I like Frida Pinto. So, but I do want to watch this one. So is this like an X-Men First Class Days of Future Past type thing, or is it like is the second one very much a sequel, and I really won't understand anything if I
It's
go see it?
it's very much a sequel. I don't know if you won't understand anything if you don't go and see it, because I'm pretty sure that they'll do some kind of a synopsis, or they'll do some kind of a prologue before the movie starts to kind of bring people up to speed, because due to the fact that there's definitely going to be a time jump. People that have seen the first movie, if you remember the first movie ends at a certain point, and then, it's one of those endings that's kind of ominous. It kind of tells you that, yeah, you kind of know by the way that it ends that stuff is not going to get better for the people in the movie, and so basically this movie seems to take into consideration the fact that you kind of already have an idea as a fan as to what was going to happen. But rather than show you what happened and confirm your beliefs, we're just going to jump ahead and start the story, maybe 2 or 3 years in the future, or sometime in the future, assuming that what you believe is correct, right? So they may do some kind of a prologue or something like that to kind of catch you up with what's happened over the course of that time.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen it, it might not be that bad, but I would say see it, because for nothing else, and if anybody that's seen the Lord of the Rings movies or anything like that, Andy Serkis is absolutely phenomenal as Caesar, and you would not believe that this is a person. Obviously not in a suit, obviously it's CGI, but the motion capture that they're doing for Caesar is absolutely remarkable. And to see the advancement of the character Caesar from what he was in the very first film to what he's going to likely be in this film, I think that the impact of that you would probably need to see the first movie to have that impact be felt in the second.
Yeah, well, in the first one, though, is really where you get the idea how Caesar becomes Caesar. Like, he starts where he's just an ape, and then he becomes intelligent, and they show you how that intelligence builds, and then how he becomes smart and decides that he wants to get out of this zoo and get out of captivity and, become more. He wants to be treated equal. So, and how he recruits everybody and recruits the other apes and things like that. So, anything, you should see it just so you can get that history. Huh?
It reminds me of this book I read, but I don't remember the name of the book. It's really bad. About a monkey who, is given, superior intelligence, and about his life, and it's, very existential, and he ends up living on City Island with this street performer, and he's, in love with his handler and all this other stuff, but I don't remember the name. But it was really good. It sounds like what you guys are describing.
All the books you read, Johanna. We just need to have a day about your books.
A day about my books.
You read a book about an ape who gained superior intelligence and decided to become a street performer on City Island?
I think he was a street performer with the street performer, and they lived on City Island, yes.
Where do you find this stuff?
It's an amazing book.
We need to have
Just saying.
Maybe we should do an episode on books.
Now you're scaring me. You literally just scared me. That's more than Deliver Us from Evil could do. You just scared me. Books. Oh my God.
We don't do no stinking books over here. We do movies based on books.
Yeah.
And then we assume that Johanna's read the book already, so that we can go ahead and discuss it.
And we say, don't spoil it with the book.
And now for the literary viewpoint, here's Johanna.
Exactly. You're our scholar when it comes to that stuff. So great, guys. That's a great box office run down. I'm glad. I hope some of the fans got some good insight to avoid these two movies like The Plague. But feel free to, if you guys have if you guys have anything else, feel free to send your posts, send your comments to us, and we can read them on the show. We can talk about We don't want to talk about Transformers anymore, but we can talk about How to Train Your Dragon 2, Maleficent, Jersey Boys, any of the other top 10.
Well, I think we should go see them first, Malik.
Well, yeah, well, we should see them, but I'm saying if the fans see them,
Oh yes.
say something, they can definitely tell us some information about those
Oh,
movies.
I tell you, I did see something else this weekend. I did see Liam Neeson in Non-Stop, and it was non-stop action. Not really,
Oh.
but
Duh.
it was it was good. It wasn't you know what? It wasn't as it was better than expected. I put it that way. I mean, they're on a plane the whole thing, the whole movie. So, um, yeah, I mean, there's only a limited number of people who could possibly be the antagonist. So, but it was good. It wasn't bad.
So it wasn't just taken on a plane.
Huh?
It wasn't just taken on a plane.
Was it? What? It wasn't
Take-
just taken on a plane.
Taken on a plane.
Oh yeah, taken on a plane. No, nobody was kidnapped. I mean,
Uh,
people were dying left and right, but nobody was kidnapped. Not bad. Nonstop. It's good. I recommend it. I also did see The Other Woman with Kate Upton, Cameron Diaz, and Leslie Mann. And the actor who plays Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones.
Yay!
I was like, when I watched the movie, I was like, the first thing I was like, wow, that's Jaime Lannister. I didn't think he did anything else.
it looks good with that right hand on.
Yeah, he had his right hand. But for a comedy, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it, and it has Kate Upton, and they make sure they show all the women physiques throughout the movie. But,
Of course.
well, mostly Cameron Diaz and Kate Upton. Leslie Mann, even though she's supposed to be the homie wife, so they always had her overdressed and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it wasn't bad. Check it out if you get a chance.
Okay. So before we jump off this week's episode with this week's weekly, I did want to just give Johanna an opportunity to talk about a show that's starting up its second season. And we'll be starting up the second season that she will be giving us some weekly reviews on. So without further ado, let's have Johanna talk about Masters of Sex. I love the title. I love that title.
And it's a great show. I love the show. Just to catch up on like the first season, the show is actually about a real life couple. William Masters and Virginia Johnson. Most people know them as Masters and Johnson. They did a hell of a lot of research on sex and sexual response and just any kind of things you can think of related to sex. And the series is about both of them, and it's about how they meet. Basically, he's researching sex. He brings on this assistant because she kind of makes people feel more comfortable. She's this sexually liberated woman, and she's having sex outside of marriage. She's a divorcee. She's working. And it's kind of like their relationship. And finally, he asks her, I think it's like the second or third episode, he's like, so we really should be doing this research together or something like that. And so I think she goes back and forth, and then they finally do start having sex for research. So there's all these scenes of them hooked up with the electrodes on their foreheads and on their bodies. And then they're talking about their vasophageal blah 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 blahs. And obviously, when two people have sex, no matter how much you say you're going to keep it professional, at least in this case you're keeping it professional, feelings get involved. And at the end of the season, he kind of declares his love for her after having really embarrassed her. He fires her and he gives her all this money, and he's like, here, this is the money because they pay all their volunteers. They have volunteers who have sex with each other, and so he's like, this is the money I owe you for the services rendered. And she's like, oh my God, you're treating me like a prostitute, and two, you're cheapening whatever we might have. But at the end of the season, he declares his love for her, which is kind of really complicated because he's married. And a lot of the season is also about his wife trying to get pregnant. He's convinced his wife that it's her fault that she can't get pregnant. And it turns out, thanks to this resident who really hates Masters, that he's been, like, Masters has been lying to her the whole time, and that's actually him who has, like, the sperm problem. So she gets pregnant without him knowing. She does this whole thing, and she gives birth. So there's that whole complication. Um, and so the second season presumably is going to start, although I have this niggling suspicion that they're putting us on. That they're not, but, like, the trailers make it sound like they are having an affair and that it's not just the electrodes or anything. So my prediction is they're going to keep having, there's still going to be that tension, and they have great chemistry. Masters is played by William Sheen, the guy from Underworld, I want to say, and Frost Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
And Lizzie Kaplan, who you all might know as Janice Ian from Mean Girls. Or maybe I just know her from Mean Girls.
Lizzie, she's been in like a ton of stuff. She used to be in a TV show called Party Down, right? It was Party Down,
I've
and
never seen that.
it oh man, I can't remember. I know she's been in a lot of stuff. But the Masters of Sex, it sounds a lot like I've never watched it. I mean, I've seen the trailers for it. It sounds a lot like that movie that Liam Neeson was in, actually.
Kinsey.
Yes, Kinsey.
Yeah, but it's less gross.
It's less gross.
Well, no, by which I mean, like, I think at the end of the movie Kinsey, he's, like, sticking crap up his urethra and stuff.
Yeah, that kind of grosses me out.
Yeah, I know.
It grosses me out.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But yeah, it sounds kind of similar to that.
Also, like, the Kinsey movie is a lot about swingers and stuff, and they don't really go into swingers in the movie, but yeah, it's similar in terms of it's about sex research. It's actually, I mean, fascinating. I mean, they actually built things in order to be able to get what they needed. They put a camera at the end of a probe so that they're able to film the vagina as it's going through its, to film orgasms from the inside. So that's talked about in the film.
I've actually seen that. I've actually seen that either on TV. I think I've seen it on TV, some one of those networks where they did something like that, and they showed it from the inside view. So I actually have a question in regards to this. So okay, so Masters is married,
yes,
right? And the woman that he is having sex with for his research purposes, or at least in the very beginning, is, you said, his assistant, or this is his colleague, basically?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So technically, as a married woman, is this cheating?
I mean, like, he's definitely cheating. She's a divorcee, so I guess, like,
But is he cheating on his wife? I mean, this is his job. My job. I've always had this question about porn stars as well. Right?
No, and that's what he says. He says that it's for science and they're not really cheating, but then it obviously gets more emotional, and that's when she's kind of like, I can't do this anymore, and he gives her the money and makes her feel like she's a prostitute. But yeah, I think that that's how he justifies it, but it becomes very obvious that, like, and it's kind of creepy at first, that, like, he's really attracted to her and he's kind of in love with her and he can't really say it.
So how does his wife feel about it in the very beginning when they first start doing this?
Oh, she doesn't know.
Okay.
That's also what kind of makes it cheating, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not telling your wife, I mean, I guess I'm gonna bang Melissa, but don't worry, it's for science. There's gonna be some good research coming out of this. You just have to wait and see.
The things he does for science.
Yeah, it's such a hard life, having sex with Lizzie Kaplan.
Clearly, I mean, I know you're being sarcastic when you're saying that, but I think that's a very, very difficult life to live. I mean, you have to perform, okay, and then you have to go home. And then you have to go home and play it off like you still are attracted to your wife when you just finished with Lizzie Kaplan.
It's true.
That's difficult. It's a difficult role. I mean, and then you have to perform twice in that same day. That's crazy.
Oh, well, they show the whole thing that, like, at the beginning, that he can only have sex with his wife in one position, and he says that it's because of the conception thing. And then, of course, like, he's having I mean, for science, he's having sex in different positions in different ways.
Yes, but it's for science. It's for research. It's for research.
I mean, like, I think part of him really, for him, it really is research. But then on the other hand, like, it's not. It's so not. Like,
Well,
don't
I mean, it's fun research. It's still research, though.
I mean, and
He's getting paid. He's getting paid to have sex while he's paying her. He's making money for research. I mean, what? I mean, that's the kind of doctor I aspire to be.
well, he like gets kicked out of the hospital at the end of the season because they really don't want him doing that research, especially when they find out that like people are having sex, like randos like off the street are having sex for money in the at the hospital.
Yeah, I think this hospital's a little bit too snooty for me. He needs to get with
I'm sure he's
a
gonna
more
find
progressive
in
approach.
season 2.
I mean, hey, how are we going to know about all of the major breakthroughs in sex therapy and things of this sort if there's not somebody out there testing the hypotheses and actually putting pen to pad when they are, you know, when they are performing these sexual acts and they're, you know, making sure that they're documenting all of this stuff. I need this information.
I mean, you know, I mean, on a serious note, like they really changed the way that people think about sex and about, you know, there's a whole thing about the vaginal orgasm versus the clitoral orgasm because Freud had this whole thing about how the clitoral orgasm was immature and that the vaginal orgasm existed, and so they're researching about whether this is true, and they find out that it's not true, and of course no one believes them because it freaks them out, and they have all this video of women orgasming, and everyone's like, oh my god, what? Think of the children. No.
Were any children present when they were watching the video?
No.
Oh, well,
These are hypothetical children. That
you
don't
don't
exist.
think of the kids. You don't think of the kids when you're watching these videos.
Think
So
of
I'm actually looking forward. I'm actually gonna watch season one. I'm gonna find season one. I'm
yeah.
gonna sit down and I'm gonna watch season one, and then, but we look forward to you giving us an overview, blow by blow, and Johanna, I know I speak for Lorenzo when I say that we expect you to intricately talk about the sex scenes in each episode. You are expected to give us the full blow by blow. Like you can give us a quick 5-minute synopsis about what the episode was about, and then you can 20
And they
minutes.
go into great detail of this sex scene.
I want literary detail of the sex scenes that are going on in each episode.
Blow by blow.
Blow by blow,
Blow by blow.
You all the way through it. You know, this is not a family show. This is not the #1 family show on the #1 family podcast in the world. So we're good. We're good. You can feel free to have all reins with that.
And at this point, considering I've talked about clitoral orgasms, it's really not a family show anymore.
Yeah, we're already there. We're already there. We're already in that realm. I think this is the show that we should talk about. Even when the season ends, we should just do a recap of this. We should do recaps throughout the year of what's going on in Masters of Sex.
Yeah. What could be happening now? What kind of sex are they enjoying? Oh, I'm sorry, researching.
What are they? What exactly? What's new in Masters of Sex research? It's got to be something. There's got to be something always going on over there. Go back to curtain. Let's figure it out.
Awesome.
And when does this air? I meant to say.
Sunday.
Sunday night?
Yeah, Sunday night. I think it's at 10 or 9. 9 or 10.
What station?
Showtime.
Okay, so Showtime, Sunday nights at 10. Yeah, I'll make sure to set the DVR so we can make sure that we're available to watch.
It's really, I mean, I feel like it was the most underrated show last season. You know, no one was watching it. So, and it's really good.
Well, and we got a season 2, which is good.
Yeah.
You know, that's definitely a positive. Joe, so before we jump off, did you have anything that you wanted to touch base on, or?
No, everything's good. I mean, outside of I already mentioned, I watched Nonstop and the other women or the woman. Yeah, no, nothing else. Nothing on the TV movie front.
All right, great. So that will be all for today. Thanks to Joe for your reviews and Johanna for your synopsis on Tammy and the upcoming Masters of Sex television show. We can't wait for the season for the episode to premiere so we can talk about all of that sex. Uh, without further ado, I was going to say for Johanna and Malik, for Johanna and Joe. I'm sorry, I am Malik. I am Malik, and stay tuned. Stay tuned for our Agents of Helm podcast, which will be coming up later on this week, where we will be discussing superpowers.
Oh.
That's going to be our discussion for this week's podcast. I will be moderating, and so look out for that. And we'll see you guys later. Have a great night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Later.